Destiny! We're making a Destiny helmet today. As you might know, there's quite a few helmets in Destiny, but today we're going to be making this one, the Iron Companion Mask. You got some reference pictures?
Dude, I've searched the whole internet and I can only find 3 good ones.
Sure, that's enough. Do you have a printable file?
The only one I can find is $30.
Alright, whatever, that's in the budget. Let's make this thing. Alrighty, so now I have all of my raw 3D prints right here and I want to prepare them for paint. But you may notice that some of these pieces are pretty rough. That's just how a 3D printer makes things. It's going to be really layery. So in order to get them nice and smooth, I'm going to have to sand them down. And to do that, I've got some 80 grit sandpaper on this little sanding machine. Alright, I've got my 3 pieces sanded down, and they're looking pretty good. Normally this is the point in time where I would get out my filler primer and my Bondo and start filling in the rest of these gaps, but I have to glue these pieces together, and I think if I got the filler primer on them, the glue wouldn't hold so well, so I'm going to glue it together first, and then do some primer. For glue, I'm sure if you've seen my channel, you know the drill. I got some CA glue, activator, and then going to reinforce it with some 2-part epoxy. Okay, so now I decided I'm going to start working on filling in some of the gaps while the other piece dries. And the first thing I like to do is spray with some filler primer. Alrighty, so I've sprayed this with filler primer, but there's still some big gaps, and in order to tackle those, I'm just gonna fill them in with some spot putty. Alrighty, so now I have both pieces of this helmet completely covered in filler primer and lots of spot putty, and now I've got to sand them down again. So over here, I've got all my sandpaper. I'm probably going to start with some 220 and then work my way up from there. Alright, I'm going to give both of these pieces 1 coat of just regular primer, and then after that we'll glue them together, and then we'll worry about the actual copper color. Alright, gents, I have both halves of the helmet completely ready for paint. I think I'm going to stick them together before I paint them. There, now we just have to figure out how I'm going to get these 2 things to stay. I think to glue it together, I'll just use some trusty old CA glue, but to line it up, I still have the visor here. So So I've gone out and gotten a whole bunch of different copperish, brownish spray cans. Actually, I ended up buying the same one twice here by accident. Now, these colors show up better on the cardboard. I've done a whole bunch of extensive testing, and right now I'm trying to decide between this metallic copperish color and this paintish copperish color. You see, this stuff here is a little bit sparkly, whereas this one tends to be more metallic. You see, the one on the left is the metallic one, the one on the right is the sparkly one. The one on the left, I think, looks so sick, but it's dripping like goops. This is a hard decision. Okay, so I think I'm gonna try and use the metallic finish stuff, and if it just sucks, it doesn't work, I'll just have to sand the helmet down and try something else. We'll do really, really, really light coats. I'm going to use the last nice day of fall to do some painting outside. So I have the base coat down already. You saw me just do that. What I'm going to do now is some of the weathering. Basically, there's two separate steps to the weathering that I'm going to be doing. The first one is going to be a darker wash to represent all the dirt, and the second one's going to be some silver, and that's going to represent like paint chips and all that sort of stuff. So for the darker weathering, what I've got here is some black and some brown acrylic paint. I'm just going to walk that down, kind of just smear it all over, and then I'm going to use a damp rag to kind of just dab it off. I'm going to try to leave paint in all of the areas where you would think dirt would collect, and all of the crevices and creases and that sort of stuff, and then hopefully it should look like it's really dirty and grimy. Alright, so as you can see with all of these complex designs on the front, I've went ahead and masked off all of the high areas, so I'll be able to paint in some darker colors on the lower spots. Masking this off took like, 5-10 minutes. It definitely wasn't my whole weekend. Anyways, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the airbrush and kind of paint in a darker wash. Because if you look at some of the reference pictures, you could see that the dirt doesn't just sit in the corners, it actually sits in the whole inset here. And so in order to achieve that effect, I have to mask some stuff off and airbrush it in. What's funny is I spent like about 3 hours masking this whole thing off, but then about only like 5 minutes actually painting. Anyways, it's time to take all this off. Alrighty, so I moved my little operation inside because winter came and nobody told me. Like, it's really cold outside. Anyways, today I think we're doing the last step of weathering, which essentially is doing all of the little silver highlights around the edges. So I'm going to use my longtime favorite, Rub and Buff, and I'm just going to try and get the silver on the corners and edges as if paint has come off and it's revealing a shiny metal helmet underneath. Alright, it's like the last warm day of the year, so I'm going to take advantage of it, do the clear coat, and then this helmet should be close to done. So I found somewhere on the internet that this Dupli-Color 1K clear is supposed to be pretty good with the shinier paints, and it better be because I paid $35 for it, but I mean, let's give it a go. Alrighty, we're on the home stretch now. I'm going to be working on the visor. So I have my 3D printed template here, and I also have a tinted face shield replacement. the darkest one I could find. I'm just going to place it on here like that, cut it out, and then stick it into the helmet with some hot glue. Alright, now I'm just going to put a little bit of foam on the inside of the helmet so that way it like sits on your head a little nicer. Well, this is a nice little helmet, isn't it? I think the copper color and the weathering come together very nicely to make a helmet that looks just like the one in the game. If there's one thing I could improve on though, it's the clear coat. It's very hard to clear coat shiny paints, but if you don't clear coat them and you touch the paint, it can smudge or rub off. I think this finish looks just fine on this helmet, but I'm still on the hunt for a clear coat for shiny paint. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but at the start of this video, all of the trees had leaves on them, and now it's winter. Reasonably, it wouldn't take this long to make this helmet, but I mean, hey, I'm a full-time student, so free time is kind of hard to come by. But thanks for being patient, guys. Also, I've taken notice that a lot of my new subscribers are from Aaron Esser's channel. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming by. If you want to, you could watch some of my other stuff over there. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one.